Tubers from these plants provided everything someone with only a little land could wish for. They were simple to grow, easily stored, and full of proteins and vitamin B and C. A diet of potato mashed with milk proved sufficient to feed a large family and all its livestock. Throughout the year, it was largely thanks to the potatoes that within 100 years of its introduction, the population of Ireland rocketed from 3 to 8 million. Meanwhile, more than 6,000 miles away in the mountains of Peru, the little protogutist little protogutist Phytophthora infestans was enjoying its own population boom, this time feasting on feasting on potato plants grown by the indigenous agriculturists of South America. Wisely, the ancestors of these industrious farmers cultivated hundreds of different potato varieties. This meant that if any types succumbed to disease, other more resistant varieties could still be successfully farmed in their place. Echoing the natural benefits of sexual reproduction, their pursuit of biodiversity provided an insurance policy against devastating infection. In the early 1600s, when Spanish conquistadors subdued the Incas of South America, it seemed necessary to export only a few popular types of vegetables as curiosities back to Europe. Little did these optimists realize just how valuable these weird-looking, novelty tubers would eventually become. Nor did they appreciate the consequence of exporting only a handful of varieties, such as Lima, Peruvianus, and Cordilleras. It wasn't until the early 1840s that diseased tubers crossed the Atlantic Ocean in ships from North America to Europe, triggering outbreaks of late blight in Belgium, Germany, and Holland beginning in 1845. No country suffered quick, uh, no country suffered quite like Ireland, so dependent were its people on their simple diet of potatoes and milk. After the failure of these harvests, 1845, 1847, and 1848, the country was devastated. More than 1 million of its people are thought to have died directly of starvation and disease brought on by malnutrition. Desperate to escape the appalling conditions of the worst famine to affect Europe since the time of the Black Death of 1348, millions of Irish fled, driven off the land by laws that made anyone who owned more than a quarter of an acre ineligible for aid. Most went to America, also some settled in Canada and Australia. The impact on the Western world has been immense. The United States now has 36 million Irish Americans, 12% of its entire population. Not that the Phytophthora infestans was the only cause or indeed the initial trigger of Irish emigration to the Americas, which began soon after the Napoleonic Wars. Yet its arrival in 1845 massively increased the flow. The effects of blight and its associated human emigrations have been felt ever since, from the global spread of Catholicism. Two-thirds of Irish immigrants were Catholics, to an enduring bitterness between many English and Irish people over the failure of the British government to help its own people, a crime that some have since called genocide. The Blight triggered demands for Irish independence, leading to the Irish War of Independence, the partitioning of the country into North and South, and the founding of an independent Ireland, ratified by the Anglo-Irish Treaty of 1921, a status quo that persists to this day. Lake Bright in New Zealand in 1905 was one of the last water mold epidemics, thanks to the effectiveness of a pesticide invented in 1885 called Bordeaux mixture. Also, Chinese potato plants remained unprotected as late as the 1950s. With the birth of synthetic pesticides followed World War II. It seems the story of potato blight, Phytophthora infestans, gave the farming communities of America and then Europe a nasty shock. Thanks to six new strains of water mold, they are capable of both sexual and asexual reproduction, began to appear with sufficient genetic diversity to benefit from at least some natural immunity to even the most persistent onslaught from artificial pesticides. In 1984, a sexual variant called A2 that originated in Colombia was spotted in Switzerland and has since been adventuring around Europe. To the utter dismay, to the utter dismay of the potato farming community, it reached Ireland in 1989. During its progress, Phytophthora infestans has been mating with other strains, producing genetically unique specimens of enormous diversity, some of them offering resistance to traditional cures for late blight disease. So, blight is back. Phytophthora infestans is once again being described as the world's worst agricultural disease, costing farmers billions of dollars a year to contain. A new fight back is now underway by genetic scientists splicing genes taken from a wild South American potato plant, Sanam blubocastutanum, that has over an unknown number of generations developed its own natural immunity to these persistent potatoes. Potato cutists. フロフロフロトクティシプロトクティシプロト persistent protocutist genetically modified protocutist resistant potatoes may eventually become a reality. If only the world's seed stock can be comprehensively updated, but in true eukaryotic tradition, how long will it be before another sexual uh, deviant saves its species from destruction by humans? South American potato plant Solanum balubacosutanum that has over an unknown number of generations developed its own natural immunity to these persistent protoctist, genetically modified protoctist resistant potatoes may eventually become a reality. If only the world seed stock can be comprehensively updated, but in true eukaryotic tradition, how long will it be before another sexual deviant saves its species from destruction by humans? Allergy. Family Didictiosulfuriaceae species Bacteriococcus browni rank 2. How SCAM could power the planes of the future? David Dudgett is a man with a mission. His goal is no less than to save the worldwide aviation industry from collapse. Volatile fuel prices and global concern about carbon emissions are causing people and governments alike to think twice before they fly. As technology leader for Boeing Aerospace energy and emissions product development group, does it Dudgett's task is to identify a new long-term source of aviation fuel that's plentiful, cheap to produce, and kind on the environment. Thanks to his own passion for growing microscopic algae at home, Dudgett believes he may just have found the solution. Algae are among the oldest and most diverse organisms on Earth, like slime and molds. They are eukaryotes and are classified today in the kingdom of Protocutista. Protocutista. Early 19th centuries, scientists divided the algae into groups based on their different colors. Green algae are the ancestor of all land plants and trees. Red algae range from large seaweeds to microscopic varieties that attach themselves to the skeletons of coral fish, turning their reefs pink. Brown algae, the third major group, form vast marine forests of seaweed called kelp that grow as fast as half a meter a day. Algae are prodigious producers of oxygen. Prodigious producers of oxygen, having gained a capacity for photosynthesis from an ancient symbiosis with cyanobacteria. Without marine-based algae today, global oxygen supplies would quickly dwindle. Collectively, they produce a far greater quantity than all the land, plants, and trees combined. Without the countless varieties of microscopic algae, larger forms of sea life would never have been able to evolve, let alone survive today. Small filter-feeding marine animals such as krill, clams, mussels, and oysters depend on hundreds of thousands of different species of microscopic algae that float through the water. As do larger creatures such as flamingos, basking sharks, mm, and even the enormous baleen whales. Plankton, the collective name for many of these algae, lies at the base of the entire aquatic food chain. Land life would have been just as impoverished without marine algae. Ancestors of the landfish, creatures that masterminded the escape from the seas, would have found precious little to feed on in their new newfangled terrestrial habitat without land plants. With processed little to feed on its newfangled new, newfangled terrestrial habitat without land plants, all of which descended from ancestral green algae from the seas. Like many of the earliest eukaryote life forms, algae are highly collaborative creatures. Lichens, coral, and sponges have survived for hundreds of millions of years, chiefly thanks to the services of photosynthesizing algae that provides them with plentiful supplies of oxygen and sugars. Algae have played a key role in human history too. Various types various types provided ancient human civilizations with a source of highly nutritious food. Edible kelp called kombu has been eaten for thousands of years by cultures in the Far East. Cultures in the Far East. Today, it is still a vital source of food in countries such as Japan, where it is used to add flavor and nutritional value to soups and broths. As a varieties of as a varieties of kelp as a varieties of kelp have been used in the relatively other varieties of kelp have been used in the relatively recent past to make potash, a necessary ingredient in soap, soup, and glass manufacture. In other places, algae has become an important fertilizer. Mal is a type of red algae found on the seabed off the coast of Cornwall, now used as an organic soil fertilizer in place of artificial nitrates. Other types of microscopic red algae called coccolithophores and foraminifera form form hard outer shells by absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and turning it into calcium carbonate. As part of this process, they have a direct influence on the Earth's all important water cycle a process which has made land life and the evolution of humanity possible. A waste gas produced by these algae, called dimethyl sulfide, helps seed crowds by providing perfectly sized surfaces around which water uh, vapor can condense back into liquid droplets. Apart from developing freshwater supplies around the world, clouds also play an essential role in helping to cool the earth, making it suitable for life. Much of the sun's infrared radiation reflects off the tops of clouds back into space. Much of the sun's infrared radiation reflects off the tops of clouds back into space, so helping to regulate global temperatures. Indeed, the impact that this diverse family of creatures on human history goes further. When these tiny organisms die, they sink to the ocean floor and, over millions of years, get crushed into a type of sedimentary rock called limestone, which has been one of the most popular building materials used by humans ever since the rise of the Egyptian pyramids more than 5,000 years ago. It is the future boundary of particular types of algae that experts, including Dave Daggett, think warrant closest attention. Some, including Botulinum have the potential to help save the modern world from a global warming catastrophe by war- warning us of our dependency on fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas. Alg- Algaculture, the practice of farming algae for oil production, has ancient natural origins. Kerogen is a mixture of organic compounds buried deep underground that is made up of decomposed marine algae, cyanobacteria, and other protocysts. When it is heated to the right temperature in the Earth's crust, it releases crude oil or natural gas. Just imagine being able to accelerate that same process, which normally takes hundreds of millions of years, into real-time production. Mm, a process which normally takes hundreds of millions of years into real-time production. That's the potential of alle- alligaculture.